The Seahawks go from an older coach to the youngest coach in the National Football League. And now, on the flip side of things, to the Super Bowl side, the 49ers and Chiefs are your possible contenders for winning it all. You're watching the 12th Horseshoe podcast exclusively on Surge Sports. Welcome, everyone, to the 12th Horseshoe podcast exclusively on Surge Sports alongside Jack Rizzo. I am Elijah Weintraub. I am so happy to be here. I had a busy day as well as Jack. I had the girls' game not less than an hour ago. I'm back in studio. We are ready to get rock and rolling. A lot to break down. We have the conference championship to break down, all the latest coaching hires and more. And of course, as a Seahawks fan, I am super excited as the Seahawks named their 9th head coach in franchise history of Mike McDaniel, the former Ravens defensive coordinator, who unfortunately lost this weekend to the Chiefs. So we'll get to the games first, then we'll head to the coaching changes and all that fun stuff that you probably can care less about, but yeah, we still have to talk about anyways. All right, either way, let's have some fun. Jack, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. The championship games I'm still in shock from those because we had two games that were just very unpredictable from what the results were. But Super Bowl's coming up. I can't believe we only have one game out of the 285 that we've played that have happened this year. And then after the Super Bowl, we have to wait 210, I think. Yeah, 210 more days till the first NFL Sunday in September.
Can we get the countdown clock ready to go, please?
I've been counting it down since the Colts season ended, Eli. I don't know what you've been doing the last 3 weeks. I've been counting down.
I've been watching playoffs. That's what I've been watching.
Yeah, but I care about the Colts though more than anyone else. So
whatever. Well, this conference championship weekend was a little boring, I guess you could say, because
I wouldn't say boring. There were two exciting games.
It was exciting games, but it was boring as in a sense as it became eventually a blowout lead at the end of the day. Well, for at least the first game and kind of the second, but either way. Let's start off first with the Chiefs-Ravens. That was the AFC Championship. The Chiefs are your AFC champions for the fourth consecutive straight year, I believe, right?
No, fourth time in the last 5 years. 4 times in the last 5 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So basically, the Chiefs won. Taylor Swift is there. She's going from Tokyo to Las Vegas to watch the Super Bowl. That'll be the reason why they won. The colors are correct. Why? Even though they're both teams red. Apparently, Taylor Swift's album is purple, so that represents the Chiefs. Red represents the 49ers. Legally, I have to say that, so yes. So get ready, folks, because your next Super Bowl is going to feature Taylor Swift all night long. That's all they're going to care about. Who cares about the games? Let's just worry about two things: the commercials and Taylor Swift. That's what we're going to have to deal about as she travels the international date line from Tokyo to the United States of America to Las Vegas. Too bad the Super Bowl's on LA, so we could say from LA to Tokyo. Either way, the Ravens fail badly. Big upset. Bad game all around. Bad decisions by Flowers for sure. Zay Flowers as a taunting penalty killed them. A lot of miscommunications. And overall, the Chiefs, you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. That's the bottom line. And the Chiefs are your AFC champions. They're going to the Super Bowl. They'll be wearing the red jerseys in the Super Bowl. So, Jack, break us down. Why do you think the Ravens failed so miserably? And why do you think the Chiefs are, once again, the best team in the National Football League that has the best odds of winning this whole thing for the second straight year possible?
Well, the Ravens, they look like the most unstoppable team in the NFL throughout the year. And I think this is just a big shock to all of us, especially considering they were at home. This is their first ever AFC Championship game at home as the Baltimore Ravens franchise, and they just really disappointed. That's certainly a fact. Lamar Jackson had played like an MVP all year. He picked the worst time to have his worst game of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know what that one throw was in a triple coverage in the end zone that ended up being intercepted in the fourth quarter. Of course, Zay Flowers, that horrible through the end zone, which ended up in a touchback. He also took a taunting penalty. They had several miscommunications. Some bad penalties that led to points for KC.
Yes.
But hey, we could talk about Taylor. You could talk about Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce all you want, but you know who the real MVP was last Sunday? Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs' defensive coordinator. The Ravens had one of the highest scoring offenses in the NFL. I mean, they scored 38 against the Lions. They scored 37 against the Seahawks. They scored 40. They scored 40. They scored 56 against the Miami Dolphins. This was a team that just had dominated. They beat the 49ers by 14 on the road. And, Steve Spagnuolo went in there and completely shut down that offense, only allowing one touchdown in the first quarter. After that, he pretty much shut them out the rest of the game. Chiefs corners made some big plays. Very good. I have a lot of respect for Steve Spagnuolo and the defense he has there. They have, especially their cornerback room with McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed. They don't take a lot of penalties. They are really physical corners, who don't give you a lot of space, and they made a lot of big plays yesterday. Really, lots of credit to him, but also to the Ravens defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, because that's really why the Ravens stayed in this game. If we're being honest, I mean, the offense got nothing going. Literally, the Chiefs scored 2 touchdowns on their first 2 drives, and then they got a field goal. But in the second half, the Ravens defense allowed 0 points. So it was more the offense and the play calling that really lost the Ravens game for this one. However, you could argue their bigger loss is their loss of their defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald.
That is going to hurt them hugely.
That's certainly not going to be an easy replacement.
No, it's not. That's what saved practically the game.
Yeah, we'll have to see who they replace him with.
It's a big replacement, though.
It's funny, though. Mike McDonald worked for both Harbaugh brothers in the last 2 years. He was Michigan's defensive coordinator in 2021, and then he was with Baltimore before and after that. And now he gets to go run his own system there in Seattle, Washington. Now let's go to the next game.
By the way, the Chiefs-Ravens game had 55.47 million views over on CBS and Paramount Plus.
It's a good
NFC Championship had 56.3 million views. A lot of numbers there. NFC beat them, of course. Speaking of NFC, the 49ers beat the Lions. How? Well, it was 17. The Lions had a 17-point lead at halftime. And what did they do? They blew it. They lost 34-31. The Lions played the worst game, in my opinion, this entire season in the worst possible time. You said the Ravens was bad. Think again, because that Lions game was absolutely embarrassment for the whole Lions and the organization, from being the America's favorite team to watch out for to losing a 17-point lead at halftime was absolutely ridiculous for the Lions and what they had done. It's a little annoying. Ben Johnson will stay with the Lions. Good decision there. Again, the Lions did play with their heart and soul, but not that second half. That was a bad second half. You had gimme passes, as Greg Olsen mentioned, right there in front of you. Hits the head, hits your arms, nothing there. You also had plenty of play call decisions that were wrong, and that's how the Lions did. 49ers did not have a fantastic first half, fantastic second. They had a great second half, that's for sure. They're going to be a contender to watch out for the Chiefs, although I don't know how big of a competition it will be. This is going to be a good one. And this will be obviously the rematch of Super Bowl 54, which happened in Miami, Florida, this time indoors in Las Vegas for 58. Jack?
It's really funny. Kyle Shanahan in his time as the 49ers was like 0-50 or something throughout his time in the second half when he faced a deficit, and now he's won 2 in a row. So this is certainly a big swing for the San Francisco 49ers. You mentioned with the Lions. I know this was an embarrassment to them, but I mean, to be fair, Eli, the fact that the Lions were even here in the first place is a remarkable accomplishment. They had not been here in 32 years. I mean, at least they didn't get embarrassed as bad as the Cowboys, giving up 48 points to the 7th.
Well, the Cowboys is a different situation, but it's the biggest game of the week.
Wait a second, though. The Lions, though, have been embarrassed way more. They've been embarrassed way more before this game because they would just get embarrassed every single week. And really,
this season I'm talking about.
No, I think the Cowboys was worse, honestly, if we're being honest.
From the Lions' perspective, what was the worst game for the Lions this year?
Probably the Ravens game. They lost 30, or the second Chicago game. They lost to the Bears 28-13.
Right, but you got to also look at the schedule too. When do they play?
I didn't mean that though. I meant like the Cowboys have more like they weren't like the most disappointing team of the postseason. They
Not
didn't have like the
disappointing team
worst
of the most
performance.
season, but most disappointing that we see from the Lions this season.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that. I agree with that. I just wasn't sure what you were talking about. But yeah, this was certainly a rough loss though. I mean, I don't know if you were watching the game, Eli. Do you remember at the end of the first half when the Lions kicked the field goal, but when Jared Goff missed a throw in the end zone to an open receiver? Do you remember that play by chance?
Yes, I do. Yes.
I said after that play, if the Lions blow it in the second half, look back at that play as the
Yes,
changing
and you
factor.
also
And
posted on Twitter that wouldn't be surprised they lose by 10. At one point, it was by 10 points, the lead. And then it get cut down to 3, but you were almost
it was
there
a
right
garbage
there.
time touchdown, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say though, there was a lot of encouraging things for Lions. I mean, they show that they can go head to head with the best team in the NFC. That's certainly going to be a confidence booster going into next year. They're going to improve in free agency and in the draft. Their coach is going to get smarter. I don't think you could put this all though on Dan Campbell. I mean, the Lions had at least 3 or 4 drops in the second half. They had 2 first downs that were dropped by Josh Reynolds. Jamison Williams dropped a touchdown in the end zone. There was one that went off the mask of a defender into the hands of Brandon Ayuk. And, the defense just really collapsed in the second half. But Dan Campbell, more like Dan Gamble, because of all the
Yes,
risks he
he
took,
gambled it.
going for it on 4th down quite a few times. But to be fair, the Lions kicker was not very good in his career from like 50 yards. And also Lions had like
Yeah.
the best 4th down conversion percentage in the NFL. So like the Lions like live and die off those risks. And well, it came back to bite them, but the Lions will be back soon. I trust me. There's not really many teams in the NFC who I could see beating them out. Like right now it's the Lions and the 49ers at the top. Like we can't trust the Cowboys. We definitely can't trust
Seahawks.
the Eagles. I do love the hire of Mike McDonald. We'll see where this goes. I mean, they need a quarterback first. They do need a new quarterback.
But they also have an offensive coordinator position that's still open that could help Geno Smith out if the Seattle Seahawks do decide to keep him, which I think they will.
Geno Smith is getting kind of old though. They might maybe. I think Drew Lock should be the starter over him.
It's a debate that we could say.
But Seattle they can also draft a quarterback though if they want.
They could draft a quarterback. The quarterback market this year is pretty good.
Oh, it's loaded. Yeah,
it's loaded. However, you got to also look at the other teams that need a quarterback and who's going to take the.
Well, Seattle can trade up for one. They can always, you can always trade up for one. Seattle, I think, they do like to make big trades. I mean, they made the Russell Wilson trade.
Right. It's still early on the season. And that's another great point. We still don't know what's happening with Russell Wilson. He could go to another team, and that
maybe he'll go back to Seattle.
If that is the case, I think we're gonna have a problem. We will have a problem.
Everything you would have said about Russell Wilson this year is going to come back to bite you because now he'll be on your team again.
I will be embarrassed.
It's not going to happen though. Don't worry, no. Eli. It's not,
well, that's how you recap the conference championship games. We will predict the Super Bowl scores on our next show next week.
Wait, Eli, can I say something real quick?
Okay.
I never thought I'd say this, but seeing Taylor Swift on the TV so much has made me miss seeing Britney on the TV.
Ha!
It's been so bad that it's made me miss Brittany Mahomes, and I hate her too.
Bravo. Well, we will make our Super Bowl picks next week on our show. We will be on the week before. Yeah, we'll be on at least Thursday or Friday. Expect us to be on. But now let's get to some more coaching news in the meantime. Texas quarterbacks coach Jared Johnson plans to return to Houston. He is not.
That's a good move
in changing, and I think that's a great position. And he is expected to want to move up as potential OC offensive coordinator. So that is the hope. So he is staying. Good for the Texans.
Not only that, though, but their offensive coordinator, Bobby. Were you going to say that, or were you going to a different team?
Yes, go ahead. You could say. Oh yeah,
oh no.
Bobby.
Did you have Bobby Slowick in there? Yeah, the Texans also. Bobby Slowick, who was a head coaching candidate, also agreed to stay with the Texans, and he's getting a pay raise from the organization to stay there. I mean, one of the best young offensive minds in the league.
Yes.
But go ahead, Eli.
The Bills are promoting linebackers coach Bobby Babich to there as a new defensive coordinator. Good move for Buffalo, I guess, because they do need to update that defense a little bit. Although I thought it was top notch, however, this season. Steelers are expected to hire former Falcons coach Arthur Smith as their new offensive coordinator. What do you think about that one, Jack? As you go from a Steelers perspective to a head coach to offensive coordinator for a Steelers team that was okay this year. And I spoke to Bobby before I get to you, and I asked him, "Oh, what would you think about Artie Smith?" He goes, "Yeah, I like it. I think it's going to really help out at the Steelers." So I don't know about that one.
No.
Jack, what are your thoughts about this whole situation overall?
I don't like this hire. I mean, the Steelers do run like an old style offense, which is what Arthur Smith is. But I mean, let's just put it this way: he used Jonnu Smith more than he used Kyle Pitts. So that's really all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
We'll see though. We'll see though what happens. But it's just like a really weird hire. But maybe it'll work out. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Well, Ben Johnson remains in Detroit, so that is a
That's a great move. That is a great move.
Fantastic choice. We head to now the Chargers. They hired Joe Hortez as their new general manager. That's pretty good for them. Offensive coordinator Zach Robinson, defensive coordinator for Jimmy Lake, and what's it called? The special teams coach Marquis Williams for the Atlanta Falcons. They all got the job.
I like the staff that Raheem Morris is building there. I think that's going to be a team to watch next year, the Falcons.
Absolutely. Joe Brady has also named the offensive coordinator.
That's definitely deserved for sure.
Yes. Eagles expected to hire Chargers offensive coordinator Kellen Moore as their new coordinator. Good move there. Obviously, they had the open vacancy. What are your thoughts there, Jack?
I'm not really sure about Kellen. I don't really have enough thoughts on him, but we'll see what happens now. The Chargers were just so bad last year, but they also had so many injuries. I can't wait to see what he's going to do with a talented offense like this one.
And you also have Jim Harbaugh. You have the Justin Herbert, who should be back and healthy, ready to go. So that'll be some great news. Boston College coach Jeff Harley is expected to become the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers.
I think that just broke today, actually.
Yes, that is today, I believe. Yes.
Yeah.
So, you have any thoughts about that?
No, but I think there was one move though that I don't think you mentioned that I saw before. I'm trying to.
Yes.
Oh, the Browns hired Ken Dorsey as their offensive coordinator.
Right.
I don't know if you got that in,
Yep.
or I don't know if we had that last week, but
We might have.
I don't know. But yeah, I know that we talked about Vic Fangio. I think for the Eagles as their new defensive coordinator.
We talked about Mike McDaniel. He's going to Seattle. He's 36, youngest coach, replacing the
Mike
old
McDonald. You said Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDonald.
I know. You know what's funny, Eli? There are 3 coaches named Mike Mack in the NFL. You have now Mike McDonald, Mike McCarthy, and Mike McDaniel. How funny!
Yeah, they all start with Mac.
But Eli, you are the Seahawks fan though here. So what are your thoughts here on Mike?
My
McDonald
initial
becoming
thoughts,
the new head coaches?
I originally wanted Vrabel. I honestly did, but looking at this
That's
pick,
fair.
it was a fantastic choice because he's going to build up this defense in a whole new way. This defense for the Seattle Seahawks struggled completely and a lot last year and continuously. So for him to now move up as the head coach, he's going to help extremely build up this defense. And now the only spot remaining is the offensive coordinator who will potentially help out Geno Smith and the offense rebuild. So we could have a winning season next year. And the next year's logo is the green Seattle Seahawks. So maybe you'll see us in the Super Bowl.
Maybe. I mean, hey, I wouldn't bet against it. We've seen teams make surprising runs, but I will say though
this year one of the colors was right, so it has to be Seattle for next year.
Raheem Morris was my favorite head coaching hire of this cycle so far, but Mike McDonald might be now. It's funny because Seattle went from having the oldest head coach in the NFL to now the youngest head coach in the NFL.
Right.
So really interesting. But let me ask you this, Eli. I know you said you initially wanted Vrabel, but were you in favor of getting rid of Pete Carroll to begin with?
No, I think he should have stayed at least one more year. I think he was a fantastic coach. He is what the guys want. He is a fun guy. The guys have a lot of fun with him in the locker room based off all the YouTube videos and everything that you see about him. I think it was a fantastic. He was a fantastic coach that the players wanted. I don't even think the players wanted him to go, but I just did not see it coming. I was not in favor of this. I would say definitely next year if it's not a winning season, yes, but it did not happen. And the worst part is, he initially said he was going to stay, which I was okay with. The whole change, interesting. I think it could work out, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, his speech was so emotional, but
Absolutely.
I actually listened to like NFL draft calls, like after draft, like all the players. And Seattle's always been one of like the places where I think it's like the coolest to go play for. It just seems like a really great like environment there, like winning culture, really like relaxed environment there with Pete Carroll and John Schneider and your owner usually lets John Schneider and Pete Carroll do all the decision making, unlike the Panthers owner who is absolutely crazy. But
so now the other possibility is, where's Pete Carroll going to go? Because he's claimed as the advisor for Seattle Seahawks, but with
I don't think that's going to last for very long.
Yeah. So the Commanders still have an opening position. Could they take it?
I don't see it. I think they're going to.
I don't see it, but it's a possibility.
I think they're going to end up promoting their offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, to be their head coach because of how well he made the offense this past year and because a lot of their candidates, Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald were two of their main ones, have taken jobs elsewhere or have just decided to stay. So I think they're going to end up doing that, or maybe they'll just find, I don't know, a different head coach, or maybe they'll find like a bridge coach and wait till like next year to find an actual. Well, that doesn't really make sense, but
yeah,
I don't know, but we'll see what happens though.
Yeah.
But
well, that'll do it for us here on the 12th Horseshoe Podcast. Join us next week for the Super Bowl picks and latest coaching news and all that fun stuff. It's the All-Star week for the NHL, so there's not much to talk about. It's a Go Devils. And also it's Pro Bowl weekend, so enjoy the Pro Bowl if you watch it. There's not much to talk about.
I'll be in Orlando, but I won't be at the
You'll
Pro
be in
Bowl.
Orlando. Lucky you, but in the Disney World side of things.
Yeah, I will not. I will not be at the Pro Bowl. It's too
unfortunately
boring.
not the Pro Bowl. But you should have went there to represent the 12th Horseshoe Podcast, Jack.
I
Get
mean,
the media credentials.
I would love to, but I mean, what am I gonna do? Just watch them pull flags off of each other for 3 hours?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
you can talk about it.
Maybe
you have a
next
show
time,
for a reason.
Maybe next time, Eli.
Maybe next time when it goes to Orlando. And maybe next
maybe it'll
time
come to MetLife.
we'll have. Wow, Jack, you're a comedian. Okay. Bravo. Joke of the night, folks. It's prime time. We're crazy. Time for bed.
They want to get everyone hurt in a meaningless game, like the worst stadium ever.
God. You watch. They'll do it in Dallas for when the World Cup comes. Because that's what they claim that
they'll do the Pro Bowl games in Green Bay.
Ha! That's funny. Or Buffalo.
All right, Eli. Well, that's going to do it.
Good night. Bye-bye. See you next week.
Go Teams.
Go Teams.